Beyond BITS. Today we have Avinash Ramakanth, the co-founder and head of engineering at Bright Money and a proud BITS Goa alumnus from the 2006 batch. So let's dive into his incredible journey from the BITS campus to building a fintech startup that's revolutionizing finance. Before diving into the main segment, we'll have a rapid fire round. So these are some icebreaker questions which you will have to answer in a few words. So are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay. So the first question is, what is your favorite BITS memory or hangout spot on campus?
We used to go to Bogmalo Beach and at the end of the day and have a drink and wind down. Those were some of our finest memories, and driving back from there.
The preferred way to unwind after a tough week, a book, hobby, or activity?
I love to drive. Go out on long drives and maybe climb up a nearby mountain. Habits which we picked up during our BITS days. We used to love trekking around the campus, going to some of the waterfalls or any of these nice little hills around Goa. So yeah, habits which we picked up there.
The most aha moment in your career so far?
I think during my startup, in terms of understanding how the US consumers work and understanding the psyche of how debt works was insightful, to say the least. India, we don't really function on debt. In the US, you have significant debt, and people run their lives on debt, and just the penetration with which credit cards are there was something which sort of did a little bit of aha moment in my career.
So, a tech gadget or app that you're currently obsessed with?
Sorry, your voice cut off. Can you say that again?
Right, absolutely. A tech gadget or an app that you're currently obsessed with?
Oh, ChatGPT, definitely.
A non-technical skill that you wish that you had learned earlier?
Communication, in terms of how to do good structured communication. Time management and project management, things which BITS teaches you in as a side effect of how we run our curriculum and how we run our activities, but something which would be very useful to pick up over the course of engineering. Yeah.
One book, technical or non-technical, that has influenced you the most?
There's a book called Pyramid Principles by Barbara Minto. Helps you define how you communicate, how you structure your thoughts. Has helped me immensely in my career. Would definitely recommend that for everybody who is pursuing technical education. Helps you communicate your ideas very crisply in a structured way.
Thank you, Avinash, for answering all those questions. So we're going to begin with your starting points at BITS Pilani. So you did your BSc in Mathematics and BE in Electronics and Instrumentation at BITS Pilani from 2006 till 2011. So looking back, which aspects of BITS life, curriculum, projects, and culture had the deepest impact on your inclination towards research and industry?
Yeah. I think one of the things which played a crucial role was the freedom to explore both subjects and interests and time, because we don't have limitations on taking attendance or attending classes or anything of that sort. You are given the freedom to choose, and along with the responsibility to choose wisely. So just that translates into research as well as doing startups. Once you get used to how you want to manage your time and the ability to do things which you like to do, is a skill, is a habit which just translates into further in life and forces you to learn a couple of things. One, the ability to fail, because you will definitely make mistakes. You'll definitely fail in a couple of subjects if you were somebody like me, or basically not be able to take over the load of all the subjects, or just simply saying, oh, I made the wrong elective choice, or I was not in the right curriculum, etc., right? As in choices which you make in terms of how you study, what you do with your time, teaches you valuable lessons on failure in a low risk environment, and then that becomes a habit as you grow forward. It teaches you a little bit about time management and people, just the ability to network, ability to make friends, ability to work across different ideas, across different spectrums. Yeah, those are some of the things which translate into how you build your career. It also sort of because we have electives, I was able to pick up subjects like image processing, subjects like astronomy, subjects like digital signal processing, which then became part of my thesis in computer science in Indian Institute of Science. So they were not part of my core syllabus, but things which I picked up out of interest, and then those became the core curriculum in my Indian Institute of Science studies, in my master's studies. So yeah, things like that in terms of just the flexibility and choice which you get. Translate immensely into real world application.
Okay. And are there any particular professors or clubs, you mentioned electives, at BITS that shaped your early interests in algorithms or data science or, in leadership?
Yeah, yeah. I would love to be part of the Quark committee. I was more a technical person than a cultural person, not much of waves or the sports committee, but would love to be part of the Quark committee, which then, as a result, exposes you to other like-minded folks. The mathematics club was something which I was an active member of. One anecdote which has helped me over the course of my career, as part of my mathematics club, we had Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was the ex-president of India, visit our campus. And I got the opportunity to present a small project to him, something on non-Euclidean geometry. But then that opportunity was something which formed how my further interviews and how my further career conversations went. It was one of the topics which I discussed during my IISc interview or my InMobi interview, in terms of, okay, what is this project? What did you do in that? And tell us more about it and things like that. So a lot of these clubs and activities, you don't really realize the value of it when you're doing it. You do it for the fun of it because you enjoy it, but then just the passion with which you go about it adds a lot of character. And when you look back at it, it ties very cleanly into saying, oh, I used to love this, I got this as a learning for myself. I'm able to talk about any small subject at detail, in depth, and that shows the ability to go deep, the ability to problem solve, the ability to basically pick a passion and go really, really deep into that, which is valued anywhere in the ecosystem, right? So these communities sort of help you build that passion and rigor.
Thank you so for insightful view. So we're moving on to your transition to IISc research. So your journey from BITS led you to IISc for your MS in computer science, where you worked at the video analytics lab. So how did your background at BITS prepare you for the rigors of IISc's research environment?
Yeah, I think a couple of things in terms of, like we discussed, the freedom of choice and the ability to deal with failure. Those were two things which BITS teaches you from day zero. And that also teaches you how to manage your time, how to do good problem solving, how to communicate with people. More importantly, even though I wasn't a computer science grad, I took to programming, I took to basically coding, and I was involved with my other peers, helping my other fellow computer science graduates to sort of crack their programming assignments and all. So it just naturally translated into the ability to execute in Indian Institute of Science, and as a result, sort of be good at research, be good at very quickly implementing a paper or implementing an algorithm. Just the ability to problem solve, the ability to translate that into code and manage time are things which from BITS sort of translated very easily into IISc. Also because we have the choice of picking subjects in BITS, in IISc you are forced to basically pick your topic as part of your master's research. So just the practice of doing that in terms of what do I like, what do I not like, and asking things which I definitely enjoy, these are things which I definitely do not enjoy. are things which you then take into your future studies or your career, saying, okay, this is something which I would love to spend more time on. And as a result, okay, these are the labs I would pursue, or these are the people I would like to work with. And as a result, go enroll for video analytics lab. I wouldn't have picked up video analytics lab if I hadn't pursued image processing in BITS. It was an elective I picked up. I enjoyed it. And then I said, okay, let me do maybe 2-3 years of further study on this.
Right. So, what were the biggest challenges you faced, adapting from a primarily engineering undergrad to a more research focused environment? And is there any advice that you would like to give to the BIT student considering MS or research career?
Yeah. Just in terms of a little bit of context, Indian Institute of Science ka masters which I did was a research masters, which is not a curriculum based masters. It is you write a thesis, and the switch which you have to then make is you're not given a defined 2-year coursework of saying this is what you have to study. Go attend classes, write exams, and pass the curriculum, right? It's more figure out what you have to do, figure out what you want to do, write a research paper, and things like that. Just that mental switch of going from a structured education to unstructured education is what you learn as part of masters, especially when you're doing masters research. And that was the most difficult part of making the transition. The second biggest thing which you then realize is at BITS, you are in a group of peers who are of your same age, of similar interests, and you are studying in a very structured setup. Whereas when you go to IISc, you are meeting people who are ranging from 25-year-olds, 18-year-olds to 35-year-olds who are doing PhDs, who are doing masters, who are doing bachelors. So the range of people who you are interacting with widens a lot, and these people are self-motivated. Nobody joins IISc because somebody told them to. BITS and bachelors you still join because papa ne dal diya ya mummy ne dal diya or parents ne dal diya, right? You pursue BTech to some extent because that is the logical course. People who do masters have an option to go pursue a job or pick else there because you want to be there. So you sort of become an adult in the process of saying, these are my choices, these are the decisions which I make, these are what I have to live with in terms of how I look at the world, and the ability to then still do good research, still do good work, while nobody is forcing you to do that, right? Nobody tells you, okay, oh, if you don't do good research, you will fail tomorrow or fail in 6 months. It is basically you won't get a degree in 3 years. That is the end goal. So you can always at any point say, okay, I'll quit and join a job, because you will always, as a BITS graduate, you'll always have a job waiting for you at any point in life. So it teaches you the ability to go with your beliefs, go with your passions, and go deep into some problems which you would love to solve. Things which you sort of learn over the course of masters.
So at IISc Video Analytics, you worked on human action recognition, compressed video classification, moving object detection, and so on. So which of those projects taught you the skills or the mindset that proved valuable in your later roles? And also, how can BITS students approach the research projects so they not only yield papers, also develop transferable skills for the industry?
Yeah. I think the second part of the question is more interesting and relevant in the sense of how do you go about it. When you break up research, it's 4 main pieces, right? You have to identify a problem. You have to do good background research to identify what type of solutions exist. You have to then build the solution and push the boundaries of knowledge. These 3 components are basically what come together in a startup or in a research environment. It is just applied in different domains. For research, it is academic in the sense of I'm solving a problem which may not always translate into a business outcome of making money. Versus in a startup, you always translate it into a business outcome of making money, building teams, building processes, etc. So that is the only difference when you think of first principles. What is the difference between research and startup? And when you are good at the first 3 things, which is ability to identify a good problem, ability to identify what solutions exist and what is good and bad, and then push the boundaries of that, that naturally makes you good at industry, good at startup. Which is why you see a lot of professors have startups on the side, have some side gig of making some money on the side and all of that, right? So that is the core invaluable skill which you are picking up when you are doing research. So treat it in that sense of these are the three skills which I would want to practice and pick up. You're not writing papers as an outcome of doing good work, of doing good solutioning, of finding a good problem which is worth solving. If these three are done well, then you will have a paper. That is just an outcome. Nobody gets into research with the aim of let me write a paper, right? So yeah, it's just a switch in what are you doing in research and why are you getting into research. It's less to do with let me publish papers. It's more to do with I love to solve this problem. Let me go figure out how to solve this problem. And as a consequence, you'll build these skills which are transferable very quickly into any domain you would pick.
Thank you for clarifying in such a wonderful and easy to understand. You also have time on publications in image and video processing. So how did you learn to communicate complex ideas in, say, papers or presentations? And how does that translate to pitching ideas within a company or to investors?
Yeah. One of the practices which my professor used to do is weekly research paper presentations. So we were a group of around 10 students as part of the video analytics lab. Saturdays were blocked for everybody to come and present a paper, and you would barely have a week, at max 2 weeks, to learn something complex, to learn something fundamentally different to what you have been working on, and then present that idea. And you would be grilled by 9 of your peers plus professors, because they would genuinely want to understand what you have learned. And this is something which medicine teaches a lot. Learn one, do one, teach one. And that is what IISc also to some extent makes you practice. You learn once, read a paper, you do once, you maybe implement the algorithm, and then you teach once. And this helps you sort of consume ideas, consume complex concepts, succinctly present those in a manner where somebody else can learn. And that forces you to communicate better. That forces you to structure your communication better. And as you practice this more and more, you sort of become better at it. And that translates to business as well, where you are building a startup. It is a complex system. It is a system which has multiple moving parts. But at the end of the day, when you have to communicate to a founder or to a VC or to somebody else, like somebody who's joining your company, how do you synthesize that complex idea into meaningful bits which the other person can take away? Is a skill which sort of very quickly translates, of taking complex subjects, synthesizing them, and communicating them.
So talking about transition from academia to a fast-paced startup or a tech company, so which were the habits that academia helped, and which did you have to unlearn?
Yeah. I think the biggest unlearning which I had to do was writing production grade code. You write, for lack of better words, very shitty code in academia. You just want the code to run and your data set to function and get results. You don't really have to live with it. In an industry, you live with the code. If things break, you are the one who's woken up at 1 a.m. in the night saying your code broke, fix it. And you don't want that to happen in your life. So that forcing mechanism is something which is fundamentally different between an academia and industry, right? Just the quality of code, how you write it, how do you go about it, and the ability and the switch which happens from being a individual solo academician who is, for all practical purposes, working on a small project which is your thesis. It may be part of a group, but you are still writing your own thesis, versus working in a team of 100 people, working in a team of 200 people, where you are responsible to give commitments to somebody, and somebody else is waiting on what you are doing and unblock and sort of move forward. Forces you to be more empathetic in terms of how you work with people, right? And just the ability to work professionally, show up, let's say, for your scrum, show up for your 10 a.m. meeting, present yourself, and not like academia where you're like, I worked all night, I will take the Monday off. So things like that.
Graduates who are entering their first software roles, what soft skills like communication, teamwork, or time management do you consider the most critical for them to develop beyond, say, coding skills?
Yeah, yeah. This is less a skill, more a habit, more something which is intrinsic. It's an initiative which you bring to the table. The thing which sets apart a good fresher, good starter, good software engineer from a mediocre one is when you are stuck, ask for help. That just moves the world so much faster in terms of somebody will want to help you because you are asking for it versus somebody coming tapping you on the shoulder and asking you kya hua, kitna hua, are you done with work, oh it didn't get done, let me help you now, right? uh, be a little shameless, go in with the attitude कि मुझे नहीं पता, पूछने में कोई कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, people will help me. Take the initiative to ask, right? Just that simple switch of saying, I'm here to learn, I'm here to ask for help, and I will ask shamelessly, and I will take the initiative to finish the work given to me. Moves you by leaps and bounds in the first 3 years of your career. Just the fact that you go ask somebody for help, they will keep you in mind, and the next time some project comes up, they'll be like, oh, this guy would love to learn this, let me give this project to them. और जस्ट द आइडिया कि अच्छा इसको सीखना है, चलो बिठा के सिखाते हैं, वर्सेस somebody who's like अच्छा ये काम कर, नहीं हुआ तो बाद में बात करते हैं, right? How much does the other person invest in you is a function of how much initiative you take and how much you ask for help, and that is the most important thing. The rest of the things you can pick up. As a BITSian, you're smart enough to pick up communication, to pick up time management, to pick up project management. All of that are skills which will come to you if you just put your brain to it. Initiative is something which is intrinsic. It is not a skill. It is a habit. It is something which you, to some extent, put your shame aside, become a little shameless, and say, go ask for help. And that is what makes the difference in the first 3 years of your career.
From a day-to-day perspective, what shifts in mindset or working style did you have to adopt when moving from a corporate environment to a lean startup?
Yeah. Just to give you a little bit of context, InMobi is almost 1,000 people org, right? It's a fairly large organization. What that means is one, things you build are built to be stable, are built with a long-term vision, are built with a point of view key. This has been thought through and we will invest, let's say 2 months or a month and then build it. Versus a startup, especially in the initial days, is figuring out things, figuring out what my product is going to look like, figuring out who my users are going to be, figuring out how to sell this product, etc. So you break things a lot and you fail fast. So that switch which happens of you being part of a very large moving organism and moving slowly versus here, it's for all practical purposes 4 or 5 people who are moving at breakneck speeds, breaking things every day, deploying every day, right? And now with AI, it's become even faster. Execution is what makes or breaks a company. And that switch from a large corporate to a startup is something which is critical to make transition. The other thing which as a founder, you then become responsible for teams, you become responsible for organizations and for processes and operations. Things which I was not exposed to as part of first 4 or 5 years of software engineering, right? As a software engineer, you build code, you ship it, and that's the end of it. You don't really look at how do I process it, what are the operations which are needed, what is the business impact of this, how do I translate this into a P&L or a balance sheet, all of that. Those are things which you pick up when you build your own company. So those are very diverse foundational knowledge pieces which you pick up outside of academia and outside of corporate world when you do your own startup of running a business. What does it mean to do a P&L? What does it mean to do a balance sheet? What does it mean to build an org, setting up a process, etc. So in that sense, just the skills which you pick up are varied when you do a startup versus when you do an academia versus when you do industry. And you just have to be conscious of what are you learning at each stage of life.
So since August 2019, you've been the head of engineering and later the co-founder and in head of growth roles at Bright Money. an AI fintech bridging San Francisco and Bangalore. So, what motivated you to move into a fintech AI product startup?
Yeah. Um, the dream was always to do a startup. You ask any software engineer in Bangalore, I'm sure they will have at some point thought of doing their own startup. So that was always there, even during masters. The thing which worked out was I found a team of passionate people who I like to work with, and we had an idea which would work. In the sense of the market was big enough, the problem statement was ripe to be disrupted, and we had the right set of skills and the right set of team to go after it. In that sense, it became I either jump on this rocket ship or lose the opportunity, right? And the startup, when you go deeper into it in terms of why it makes sense and what is a startup, etc., etc., the motivations become clearer and clearer in terms of just to give you an idea of why it makes a lot of sense. Credit card debt in the US economy, in the US ecosystem, is around $1.5 trillion, 1.5 to $1.7 trillion. India's GDP is like 3.5 to $4 trillion. So you're looking at a problem which is so prevalent and so deep in the US ecosystem that it needs solutions. It needs good data sciences. It needs good product, and we can build that. Being good software engineers, being good finance people like my other co-founders, we had the ability to form a solution for that problem statement. So it just made a lot of sense to go after that problem at that point.
Elaborating on this, what would your prior experiences, like in research or in Mobi, equip you to tackle the challenges faced in fintech? And any surprises that you found in this domain?
Yeah, two-part, right? Surprises and what sort of equipped me to deal with them. I'll tackle the surprises first, and then we'll get into the solutioning. Things which you would not consider in terms of being in academia or being in the industry, things like building teams, building process, building compliance, building operations, running a business, things which are not some things you would imagine when you think of doing a startup. When you think of doing a startup, you usually think, oh, let me build an app and I'll put it on the app store and it'll go viral and I'll make lots of money. And that is where the boundary sort of stops of your technical knowledge, because that is what you're exposed to as an engineer ki app banate hain, launch karte hain, chal jayega, right? And that is where naivety stops and reality starts in terms of there is so much more. There is a vast universe of problems which you have to figure out to run a business. One, because I had quite a set of mature founders who understood what it means to do a startup. I had the ability and the honor to sort of learn all of those things from people who understood this in depth. One of our co-founders had a startup previously. Two of my co-founders are ex-McKinsey. So people who have done businesses in depth, who understand businesses in depth, versus me who comes from a technical background, right? So then what helped me solve these problems and sort of what solutions or what skills was I able to translate? Like we discussed earlier, three core elements. One, identifying a problem. Second, being able to do the work to identify solutions. And third, the ability to build solutions. The fourth thing which came up as part of InMovie was building solutions which were stable and scalable. Not just build a solution because it might work, but actually build a solution which users will be able to use and it will scale. So those four were when you apply first principles thinking, when you apply core good problem solving abilities, all of these problems are solvable. These are not problems which cannot be solved. You just have to apply good structured thinking of breaking down these problems into relevant pieces, apply good first principles thinking, apply the right relevant structures, do the right study, condense it very quickly into something actionable, and then build that. Those are skills which I picked up over the course of masters and industry, which then very quickly translated into saying, okay, these are the problems which are coming up. Apply these patterns and sort of very quickly solve them and move forward.
Thank you, sir, for explaining it so vividly. So moving forward, about teams and collaborations. So with teams split across different time zones culture, how do you ensure alignment in engineering, ML, data science, and product? Any framework or rituals that you particularly found effective? And adding on to that, any advice that you would like to give to the BIT students about collaborating in remote or cross-continental teams once they graduate?
Yeah. One, in terms of what works, especially across geography and cross-functional, right? We spoke about this. I alluded to this in some sense. Is good structured communication. This book called Pyramid Principles by Barbara Minto. She was the first MBA hire at McKinsey. She was one of the people who defined what is a MECE framework, what is good pyramid principles of communication, and defined the culture at McKinsey from its grounding days. The book she has written is invaluable for anybody who comes from a technical background to be able to learn how to communicate in a structured way and collaborate easily. And that is something which I have found very, very crucial and invaluable in terms of how you work with teams in an efficient manner. The other things which you then put into practice is good project management and good rhythm for how do you project manage, especially for students who are looking at how do I become better at this and how do I sort of not fail at cross-team collaboration or cross-functional collaboration. I would sort of say do a couple of things, maybe 3, maybe 4 things. One, if you are running the meeting, set the agenda a priori. Share ki this is what I would like to talk in this meeting. Second, take notes. Even if you are not running the meeting, take notes. Be very, very organized. And this is a skill starting from freshers to senior people in the organization. Good, highly effective people are well organized. Take notes, summarize them, synthesize them, send an end of meeting note and say, these are the action items. These are the things which we agreed upon. These are the things which we aligned on. These are the dates by which we should be doing this. And end the conversation in a manner where it is not just left in the void saying we did a meeting and we don't know what is next. Nobody is responsible for action items. Nobody is responsible for next steps, right? Be the person who does that. And that moves the world a lot. That moves the world forward and it helps you structure your thoughts, structure your meetings, problem solving very, very well. This applies for things you do in the campus, things which you might be already doing, like running communities, running assignments, etc., etc. When we come together and sort of do assignment problem solving, when you are getting out, it is always a good practice to say, Acha, we agree to meet on this date and we agree to do these 4 things before we meet the next time, right? And before the meeting saying, okay, this is what we should be doing as part of this. Helps you structure your life a lot and helps you move the world forward.
I'm sure this will be very helpful to all our listeners. So moving forward into a very important and interesting area is the use of AI/ML in FinTech. How does Bright Money leverage AI/ML to serve users? What technical challenges, data quality, model fairness, regulatory compliance did you face?
Yeah. US data policies and data regulations are well defined. They have been there for a very long time. There are multiple data aggregators who help you get data in a structured way for financial apps like us, where because of something called as Open Banking Initiative, consumers can link their bank accounts on third-party apps in a secure way and provide users and provide the startups or companies with that data. So that the solutioning around what is needed to build the data facades and data frameworks is more well defined in the US. Once you take that, then the problems of what do you do with that data and how do you apply good AI/ML comes into picture, which is where because we went after managing debt and went after managing people's money, we provide what we call as a financial plan for our consumers. And we provide a chatbot because of the recent developments in LLM, where users can talk to their money and ask questions in terms of, for example, can I buy this phone? Can I afford to pay my next bill? When should I pay my next bill? Simple things which you would do, which you would ask your financial advisor. You can ask your app, and because it has your data, because it has your financial information in terms of your credit report or your accounts which you have linked, the app can answer back those questions in the right context. And that is where AI/ML sort of comes into picture, saying, give the right plan, give the right advice to the end consumers, give them the right tools to manage money, and build their credit score.
And for students who are particularly interested in ML for finance, what foundational topics should they focus on during their BITS curriculum, or like when they're studying on themselves?
Yeah, I'll break this up a little bit and answer it slightly differently. I wouldn't say focus on ML for finance. I would say do two things. One, learn ML AI, and learn finance. And finance and financial discipline is something which is not part of our curriculum. It is not something which is taught in terms of basic things like how do you invest? What are mutual funds? How should you put your money in mutual funds? How do you pay taxes? How much tax should you be paying? Just basics of good financial management, saving some money, putting it in mutual funds, looking at stock market. What is a stock price? What does a valuation mean? What are the different methods in which you assess a company? Are foundations to doing good financial literacy. And when you pick those up, you will then be able to identify problems or spaces to solve, and how you then apply ML/AI comes into picture. In parallel, study ML, study AI, starting from foundations of probability statistics to foundational models, to now using these tools which have come up, being able to do good prompt engineering, for example, being able to do good context engineering is invaluable. Those are skills which you should be picking up before you graduate. Being able to use ChatGPT and build apps, being able to use ChatGPT and sort of doing a simple RAG and answering a small chatbot or something of that sort, or doing basic ML/AI for any sort of application, any domain. Treat those as separate problems and do fundamental foundational work on both of them. And then when the opportunity arises, or when the interest comes, or when you find the right problem, you can club these and sort of build the right solution. So yeah, don't focus on ML for finance. That's not the right thing for students to think about. Do good financial education and do good ML work, and and then we'll see how it goes about.
Sure, the students will imbibe this in for studying in their current lives. Another question that we have is, amidst the rapid development of AI affecting the job, what should the students learn and develop so as to secure their future prospects?
Yeah. The world foundationally is changing quite rapidly around us in terms of how AI develops and how LLMs and how AGI is going to come about, especially for students who are just entering into college. Couple of things which are invaluable is, one, good foundational coding skills and the ability to problem solve. This is outside of AI/ML. This is outside of doing good prompt engineering, for example. Just the ability to do critical problem solving and critical thinking helps invaluably when you start using AI. When you start using ChatGPT, being able to call out when things go wrong, when the model hallucinates, or it gives you responses which are false for a large extent, and the ability to then ask questions and to say, okay, how do you test this? How do you fix this? How do you sort of ask it the right set of questions to be able to probe the correctness of the solution which it has provided, are skills which you have to pick up. So the way you would approach AI and the rapid change in the world is, one, get used to the tools. Get used to ChatGPT, get used to Perplexity, get used to Gemini, etc. Second, build the habit of critical thinking. Ask, is this the right answer? Is this an hallucination which it is throwing out at me. How do I validate this? And third, doing good structured problem solving, which then gives you the ability to do good prompt engineering and do good context engineering for your for the models which are there. So these are three invaluable skills. When you pick these up, you are able to use these tools well, and as a consequence, you are able to adapt to the changing environment well.
Thank you for shedding the light on such an important topic. So, moving forward, Bright Money raised seed and Series A's from VCs and angels in SF, Bangalore, Singapore, and London. So, although you're primarily technical, how did you engage with fundraising? For example, translating technical vision to investors.
Yeah. Two primary roles which I play are one, head of growth and head of technology. Head of growth's role is to answer questions around where is the company going, how are we going to grow, how are we going to do marketing, what are the tools which we'll use, what are the campaigns which we will run, how do we think we will be able to acquire users, why do we think we'll be able to acquire users at a profitable cost, and things like that. And the second piece which comes is, what is the tech strategy, what is the tech vision with which we are running, what are the components which we will build, which will form a moat for us as a company, which will form a data moat for us, which will form a technical moat for us, and how does that solve the end consumer problems. These are things which investors would love to hear from people who are on the ground, right? And that is where my role comes into picture.
To further elaborate on it, why is it useful for engineers or data scientists to understand business metrics or the economics and investors' perspective? How can the BITS student start building that business acumen?
Yeah. One, why is it important, especially when you go to industry or do your own startup? The ability to understand businesses and the ability to read a business and say, okay, this is a good business versus a not good business, and why is it a good business, why is it a good product, is very, very important. And that then translates into saying, okay, why am I solving this problem? Does it align with the business outcome or not? And then it comes to, okay, what is the solution I should be doing for this problem? When you understand the end goal of why am I doing something and what is the need for doing this, the solution which you provide will be much more tailored and much more useful, and you will have much more motivation to actually go solve that problem, right? If you do not understand why you are solving this problem and you just solve it in isolation without the business context, you will lose motivation to do good work, and you will solve the problem in a very orthogonal way to what the business's needs are, right? So that is in terms of the motivation of why should you even understand a business. If you do not understand the why of the problem, why are you solving this problem, and how does the business improve because of this, you will not solve the problem well. Then comes, okay, how do I then understand businesses? And take cues from good MBA, take cues from IIMs, etc. The thing which they rely on a lot are case studies. You pick up a case study and you study it. You do a thorough read of the P&L, of the balance sheet, of the product, of the team, of the organization, and you understand why this works, what are the risks involved, what has brought this company to this stage, be it success or failure. And when you do that over and over, you build that acumen, you build the frameworks, you build the models of saying, this is what makes a good business versus a bad business. This is what a good decision looks like versus bad decision. This is how you understand customer sentiment. This is how you understand product fit, etc. So case studies as a tool are invaluable. Going and reading quarterly reports or annual reports are invaluable. Those are just two tools which you can use on and off to sort of build the habit of understanding businesses.
That was a very helpful answer. Thank you, sir. Forward, as head of engineering and as head of growth, how do you shape culture in a rapidly growing startup? How do you recruit, retain, and develop, especially for fresh grads or interns from BITS? And what another question our listeners would especially like to know is, what qualities do you look for new hires from campus placements? How would the students make themselves stand out?
Yeah. I'll answer the second one first, and then what defines good is the ability to communicate problems you have solved, ability to go deep into a particular problem and take it to completion. Take any small project which you would have done as part of being a student. If you have truly done it, when I sit with a student and ask them, what did you do, how did you do it, why did you do it, and if I were to extend this and translate this and ask further questions, somebody who has truly done it would be able to answer them. The ability to understand a problem, break it up into its components, do first principles thinking, do problem solving are what make a good computer science engineer. And that is what I look for when I'm hiring a fresher, when I'm hiring an intern, right? You rarely look for a particular language ka coding skills or a particular framework application or things like that. Those are not things which you expect fresh graduates to have. What we expect them to have is the ability to solve problems and the ability to think clearly, break a problem down, and sort of structure the problem into its components and then go after them one by one. It's like solving a puzzle. It's like basically building a Lego system or something of that sort, right? If you're able to do that well, you're a good computer science engineer. And then coming to the first bit, how do you sort of shape culture? How do you recruit, retain, develop? As engineers, what we value a lot is the learning potential. What can I learn, and how can I grow, and what is the clarity of the vision of the company, and how am I treated in this company to be better at what I do. And those are things which you then work hard at as the founder, saying, one, let me translate my vision well, communicate that to my team. Second, communicate to the team how their personal growth ties to the vision. And third, give them the right environment in which they can do their work well, where friction is less, where everybody is aligned, where everybody wants to get to the right goal, where everybody has a common objective. You solve these problems, culture gets solved, and motivation gets solved.
I'm sure everybody would find like your advice very benefiting to them. The question which we would love for you to answer is that many BIT students consider whether to go for a MS or a PhD or to join the industry directly. So, based on your path, how should they evaluate this choice?
Yeah. There are a couple of reasons for doing further studies, right? One, if you want to switch from a technical role to a product or a business role, and if you're clear on that I don't want to be a software engineer, I want to switch to a business role, MBA makes a lot of sense. It gives you a quick turnaround into saying I will go down a product route or I will go down a business route, right? PhD or further studies like masters make a lot of sense when either you have a passion for a certain problem, or you want to go deep into a certain problem, or you definitely want to build your acumen in a certain space. For example, I come from electronics background and I wanted to be a good software engineer. One of the options was to do masters and be really good at computer programming and be really good at computer science, right? So just the ability to switch between technical domains and to go deeper into a particular field is the secondary reason for doing a master's. PhD is self-motivational. You have the will and need to solve a problem just for the problem. You really love that problem, you have a passion for it, and you would want to put all your time and energy into solving that problem. Go for it. You do a PhD when you are for sure in the mind space to commit 5 to 6 years of your life for a single problem and give your all. You don't care about kitna paisa banega, kya niklega career, etc., right? You just care about the problem. You just care about the passion with which you want to go into it. So those are the options with which you sort of go into saying, should I do future studies? You either are trying to switch from a technical to a non-technical product business kind of a role, or you want to go deeper into a specific technology. For example, if somebody wants to become really, really good data scientist or a really, really good robotics expert, it is better to go do masters than to basically join some software engineering job, unless you get a job which actually is tailored to your needs or tailored to what you want to pursue as career, right? Then comes industry and what type of industry should you join, where should you go about it, right? And all of that. The only advice I would give to students is voice your opinion when you join a company. You may be joining a company as a fresher, but you always have the ability to ask for "Mujhe ye pasand hai, I would love to be on this project," and 9 out of 10 times it will be accommodated. So yeah, just if you are going down an industry, pick a problem which you would love to solve in the company you are joining and voice that. You will get the opportunity which you are looking for.
So thank you for all your insightful answers. Now we're going ahead from the academic and career related talk, and we have our next segment on your college life and memories. So, what is one thing that you learned at BITS that helped you reach where you are today?
Yeah, I think just the ability to take failure in its stride and not beat myself up too much. I'm not sure if you guys still say take light or some variant of that, but that is that is an ethos with which so that is an ethos with which BITS Goa especially runs, and we all take life a little less seriously, not stress too much about things which life throws at you. You don't realize the usefulness of that statement when you're throwing it around at bits, but when life throws punches at you in your day to day, that grounds you a lot. Yeah.
If you could relive one day from your college days, which one would it be and why?
I think one of the holidays which we were at BITS after our December break, we stayed back and we were roaming around Panjim and sort of just having a blast during Christmas. We were all young. Everybody was well connected. Everybody was basically having a lot of fun there, and yeah, it was one of my cherished memories. Along with we went to this Dudhsagar trek once and climbed up the trail, came down, and then hopped onto a goods train and came back to campus. Just wonderful memories with friends. Yeah.
I hope it was enjoyable for you to go down this memory lane.
Yeah.
Moving forward to our last segment, it would be advice to the students that you would like to give. So, what would you think would be the key takeaway of today's talk? And if you had to give the students a piece of advice for their current and future prospects, what would it be?
Yeah. I think one, BITS provides you the flexibility to pick what you want to do. There is no restriction on attendance or classes or anything of that sort. You are in control of your time. You are in control of your destiny. Make good use of that. That is a playground where you can simulate life in all its glory, do experiments, meet new people, figure out new things, and just explore your passions. One of the things which is invaluable in life is the ability to say, I do not like this, I don't want to do this. And unless you explore a vast majority of things, you will not be able to say, okay, I definitely don't want to do this. I am good at this. I will want to do this more. And 4 years of BITS provides you ample opportunities to do that. Be it part of Quark, be it part of Waves, be it part of sports, be it part of curriculum. It just gives you the opportunity to experiment, do a lot of those. And the second most important thing which I would say is use AI tools. Use ChatGPT, use Perplexity, use Gemini. Be good at it, and develop the ability to think critically and call bullshit and say, okay, this is right versus this is wrong, and then how do I then translate my vision into reality? Those are two very, very important things which you can do in BITS to sort of set up a good life forward.
So, is there any other thing that you would like to mention which we didn't cover in our talk today, or would think our listeners would benefit from?
Yeah, I think the friendships and the relationships which you form at Bright are fundamental and core to what you become as human beings in the future. We are celebrating 20 years of joining BITS in the next couple of months, and it's just been an incredible journey of seeing all of us grow together, and from being young boys who joined college to now having two kids. It's just it's just life has moved a long way, and all of us are still in touch. All of us still cherish our memories together and spend time together. So the friendships which you form in campus are for life. So yeah, have fun while you're doing it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and to give us such wonderful and helpful answers and advice to our listeners. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We're also looking forward to hosting you back here on campus for the reunion,
Yeah.
so you can meet up all your friends and reminiscence about campus life.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
To our audience, stay tuned for another episode of Beyond Bits.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.